Yeah, Demon, you you're one of the most prolific Wind Waker runners. Uh, and I do like you're so humble. You're like, oh, I don't know what I'll contribute. I'm like, all right, dog. All right, dude. Mr. Humble.
Well, no, I guess maybe. I
Hmm.
don't know.
We'll see. So, talk to me. When did you first when did you first even find out that Wind Waker speedruns were a thing, and when did you get involved?
I gotta say, it was when the former Cosmo Right, Narcissa right now, was doing Wind Waker back in 2012. She was doing Wind Waker 80%, and the time was around 6 hours long back then. And I just thought it was super cool because I hadn't really seen speedruns of Wind Waker before. It was mostly Ocarina of Time and those games back then. So it was a completely new game for me, and it was really exciting to see. Eventually, I wanted to try it myself, but I took a different route for myself. I found a route of the 100%, or well, unfinished one. So I routed a little. I put it together. Very scuffed route, but I finished it. And I went for a run, and I think it ended up being a 12-hour run, the first run or something.
Okay.
That's my introduction to Wind Waker.
When did you make the jump to any percent?
So I think I kept going with 100% for about 2 months, and then I jumped over to 80%. Yeah, I think that was about it.
Okay. And I guess there weren't probably that many people running the game outside of you and Narcissa. Was there anybody else?
So at the start, no, not really. But during the summer of 2012, more and more runners actually started playing it. And at the start of, well, August or so, September maybe, we had those weekly races actually during the Saturday. I think it was, at least.
Okay.
And we used to have like 6 to 8 people, maybe. Like we had a fair amount of people actually joining in, and
Nice.
I gotta say, like that was one of my fondest memories of Wind Waker speedrunning. It was really fun. I just sat there every Saturday doing a long run. That was
I've heard similar about like that was like the golden era, more or less.
yeah.
And not like literally, because I think a lot of people have fond memories of like the SRL days because there's a lot of community aspects and a lot of like
Oh, definitely.
rituals, like where everyone's running, and we're all just improving at our own pace.
Yeah.
As a like we have to manual super swim now, and we all have to
skip barriers, do everything. Yeah.
It was a simpler time, they say.
It really was. And I mean, back then we used to run in English, no tuner. And I think this was mostly just for, well, it's a version that most people have. So we went with that one. A bit slower, of course, but yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, what do you think the choice for no tuner?
Sorry, what?
So why do you think the choice for no tuner? Like, do you think it's because not everybody had the Tingle tuner, and so it was more inclusive, or?
Oh yeah, well, both that. You needed a Game Boy Advance, of course, but then you also needed to mash really fast for zombie hovering, which was a problem for a lot of people back then. This was before we discovered this method of two-hand mashing, which I don't know if you heard about it. but it helps a lot to mash faster. And it, yeah.
Okay. I can imagine it in my mind, but could you give me an explanation?
So basically what you do now, or well, what a lot of people do is that you alternate, like you hold both of your thumbs on the B button, and you kind of shake the controller to alternate the thumbs that you press.
Okay,
If that makes sense.
That's what I was thinking in my mind. That's what I do whenever I mash.
Yeah. So that wasn't really used back then. Back then we used to mash with one hand, and for zombie hovering you need to mash like, well, at least 10, 11 times per second, which is pretty difficult for a lot of people. But yeah.
I get you. Okay, so there's these weekly races going on. The world is sort of, it's an easier time. People are just sort of getting used to it and getting better at the game, and then there starts to become like this rivalry between you and Narcissa, where both of you guys keep going back and forth with the world record and stuff. What was that like?
I gotta say it was pretty exciting, of course. Like, how should I put it? It was kind of special because, well, I mean, I was the underdog, of course, and a lot of people were against me. So to me, it was kind of to prove myself to be good enough towards Narcissa. And I managed to do that, and I was pretty happy with myself with that. But it was also like really exciting, though. Like I was saying, that I don't know, we kept trading the world record back and forth for a very long time until she quit, pretty much. So yeah, no, it was fun. It was very fun. And I think a lot of people still come back to me and say that, oh, I missed these times when you guys had this rivalry and kept going back and forth. But I mean, we gotta move on eventually.
Yeah. Nothing gold can stay, they say.
Nope.
How would you describe Narcissa as a runner?
It was a few years ago now, so I gotta think about it for a second.
Good job.
Very. How do I describe it? I would just want to say very fast. Like, she always felt like she went so fast with everything. Like, it was hard to keep up with her. And her mashing was incredible. Like, I could lose a minute to a zombie hover because my mashing was so bad compared to hers.
Oh man.
And yeah, it was kind of discouraging, but of course I want to try to still keep up. But yeah, I would just say very good at the game. Like, I don't know how to put it. Very fast.
Okay, no, I get you. Yeah, it is always kind of hard to describe people as runners, I think. So sorry for kind of a broad question.
Oh, no problem.
Just it sounds like though that she was just like almost relentless, just like constantly like, we have to go faster, we have to go faster, we have to go faster, right?
Yeah, you could think of it like she was able to squeeze those few seconds out of all the splits, pretty much. Like, that's how it felt.
Yeah.
Those seconds that I couldn't find, well, she found those somehow. I don't know.
She could always find them.
Yeah.
Okay. Eventually, she would leave Wind Waker behind. I believe that was around the time Wind Waker HD came out. Does that sound right?
Sounds about right. A little after, but around that time, yeah.
Okay. All right. And then sort of immediately following that, there's kind of like a scramble, if I'm not mistaken. You take a couple of records, and then all of a sudden, like Kahlua or something. I forget exactly.
Cole J.
Cole J. There we go.
Cole J, I think, yeah.
Kahlua is
Yeah, Cole
the
J. Almost. Cole J came in. Honestly, I can't remember too much from when Cole J started, but he improved very quickly, and eventually he sat there with the record. And yeah, I
but
can't say
I
too
don't I
much.
don't think you let that I don't think you let that sit for very long, did you?
No, I think unfortunately he lost it pretty quickly, but yeah.
That seems to be a pattern that I notice is that whenever somebody takes your record, you always take it back like a couple weeks later.
Like yeah, maybe a bit more before, but back then I was usually this Wind Waker runner, and I was pretty much, well, almost always running this game. So I don't know. I just tended to keep playing and improving myself, and with that, I guess I grabbed the record back now and then as it
Yeah,
happened.
yeah. They who did I talk to? I think it was Ace, and Ace was
Uh-huh.
telling me that like you are like one of the most consistent Wind Waker you have been running, or at least definitely at that time, you were running constantly, and that made you so sharp that it was like anytime someone took your record, you take it back.
Yeah. I feel like I just kept playing it. It's hard to describe it for myself because I didn't think about it that much. But it's like, yeah, I kept going. I wasn't much more than that, I guess.
No, I get you. Yeah, it was your thing. It was your jam. It's
Hmm.
your deal.
Yeah,
So
Wind Waker has always been my baby, so
there you go.
always going back to it.
I get you. Um, so you keep kind of going back and forth with people. I think it's over the course of like 2014 or something like that. And then
Yeah.
eventually we see the rise of Chaotic Ace. And tell
Oh
me
yeah.
about
Uh, tell you about Ace? Or?
describe as like kind of with Narcissa. Like, tell me what Ace is like as a runner, as a competitor.
Uh, let's see. He came around. Okay, so I think Jonas beat the record, SV beat the record, got it back, and Ace got it around there. So Ace, I feel like he came into the game very quickly and he got extremely good. He was very hard to compete against because he, like he described me, I guess he kept playing the game and he got very good at it. Uh,
Mhm.
he was fast with hovering as well, and he kept doing some strats that were just super fast. I don't know. It was hard to keep up with him. I felt like I guess I still did it, but he was really good. I remember back then that Ace is definitely gonna get the first sub 4. This guy is good, but somehow I
Feel
managed
it.
to grab that one. Yeah.
Okay. So you were the first person who got sub 4? Is that what you said?
Huh? Yeah, yeah.
Did you were the first person? Okay. Like I said, I don't have my notes in front of me, so I couldn't double check that. But okay.
Oh yeah, no, no problem.
What was that like getting the sub 4?
Okay, so I remember the day when I got the sub 4. I was so extremely happy. I felt like I was released from jail. No, maybe not like that, but it felt really good to finally get it because that was my long time goal. Like you can think, well, imagine that I went from the time being 5 hours. My first world record in 90%, I think, was like a 4 hour 56 minute time or something like that, or
Mm,
58. And that's like just under 5 hours. Now imagine it going down all the way to sub 4. Like, it felt incredible. Like,
Journey.
I couldn't imagine it. It was really nice. That's all I can say. It felt really nice.
I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, man. I mean, just thinking like what it's like just to start playing the game when it's just sub 5, and then bringing it
Yeah,
all the way down to sub 4.
a whole hour. Yeah, so
Outside of obviously just getting better at the game, are there any like
um
big changes that
from the sub 4 5 to sub 4 or
yeah, just like I mean that's such a huge section of time. That's like 2 or 3 years or something like that.
oh
So
yeah.
I know
So
that there's probably a lot of little things, but I'm just thinking like what are like the big like oh yeah, this cut off like 15-20 minutes.
so of course you probably heard of it, storage.
Yeah.
Yeah, back when the time was around 5 hours. There was this guy, Forgotten Moose, I think it was called. He was practicing the Wind Waker dive into Forest Haven. And suddenly, he apparently got camera lock somehow. And he was very confused about this and wrote about it in the Wind Waker Discord. And of course, everyone started to wonder how this happened, like, why? And another community member by the name of Ababob, if I remember correctly, tested around with this, and he actually found, well, he was actually able to recreate this, which was super cool, because now he found dry storage, as we call it, which was basically you Wind Waker dive, and you press B 3 frames before you hit the ground, and that gives you storage. So this brought the time down a lot. Like, this is the super big thing. We used it in a slightly different way back then. Pretty much slopes and so on. Like, if you pull the Wind Waker, you can fall down by slopes. And it was super annoying to get storage at least, but it was still better, of course. So
Right.
more super swims. You could skip some cutscenes. Yeah, like generally, storage just completely killed it. To put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
I've generally been following Wind Waker speedruns um, since like 2014 or so. Not like super intently. I didn't watch a lot of streams back then,
Mm.
but I kind of kept up with the general goings on, and I always attribute storage as being the glitch with Wind Waker, which is
Oh
kind of
yeah,
funny. Nowadays, there's like so many more glitches and things that people think of maybe a barrier skip or something, but still, to me, storage is like the glitch when it comes to Wind Waker.
yeah. You can think of Wind Waker SD, like the SD version having storage. That's
Mm-hmm.
SD's glitch, I feel like. And then you look at the HD. HD has item sliding and so on.
Yeah,
So
the item sliding is that one.
yeah, I kind of like the difference in those. Like that we have two different games pretty much, even if it's the same one.
Yeah,
So that's kind of nice.
yeah, that does end up being really cool because one of the problems that you get with like something like Ocarina of Time and Ocarina of Time 3D is I feel like Ocarina of Time 3D is always trying to find like the old glitches. They're like, oh man, how do we
Oh yeah,
Hess? How do we
yeah,
super hide? Can we
yeah.
still do
Just like a
Shadow
copy.
boss piece yet? Yeah, it's like they're like, how do we do the old stuff in the new game?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
exactly. I mean, HD was a little like that at first, but then open up it a little bit with items lying, I would say.
exactly. Definitely a little bit. Let's just.
A little bit.
So, hang on. So you had said something about Chaotic Ace that he seems to like implement strats that he's hard to keep up with. Was he going for like riskier stuff or just different strats, or what would you describe those?
I feel like he optimized things more. Of course, I I took after him. I copied sometimes what he did, of course, but if it's
Mhm.
faster, it's faster.
Yeah,
But I feel
yeah,
like, I felt like he came up with many like new strats that made it faster and so on,
okay,
optimizing things.
I get you. So I think it's around the end of 2015 or early 2016. Um, Ace kind of takes the record and runs with it, and I think you were either doing different categories or playing different games. Does that sound right?
That sounds about right. Yeah, I think it was about the start of 2016. He beat my No, it was the end of 2015. Yeah, that he got a sub 4 as well, beat my record, and then at the start of 2016, he got a pretty solid time, and I was playing something else, but I can't remember what. Uh,
It's not a big
but
deal.
yeah, I was absent for a while.
Did you just need a break or something more interesting caught your eye or
Yeah, I mean, at that time, I had played the game for like 4 years, three and a
yeah,
half. So I was like, yeah, I gotta try something else.
I
It
get I
might
get
have been TP or something like that, or a mix of things.
I get you. Um, one of the things that I think is really interesting about the history of, at least especially with like world records and stuff, is that Ace gets that like 3:55:44 or something like that. I forgot the exact numbers, but he gets
Yeah,
like
that's correct.
that. Okay, yeah, he gets something like that, and then that's in mid 2016, and then there's not another world record for a year and a half or something. It's
Yeah,
like all the way until 2018.
it took quite a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think that nobody else took the reins whenever Ace put it
Mm,
down?
um, I feel like we didn't really have that many people who were competing at that level. I feel like in that case, it would have been me and another person called Chase Stuffer.
Okay.
Chase was also a very talented runner, and he had, I think, around a 358. I could be wrong, maybe lower.
Okay.
So he was kind of around the time, but we didn't really have many other runners going for those times. And Ace's time was pretty solid, so it wasn't really that easy to beat either.
Yeah, I get you. Okay. I think eventually you would be the one to break that. Am I right?
Yep, I. So basically, we had this trick that we had been thinking about for a long time, and it had been implemented in HD already. And
Mhm.
you probably know it, manual super swimming.
Mhm.
And so no one had really done this in SD. Well, kind of. I think it was save states and so on. But I
Okay.
started to mess around with it at the end of December, I think, uh, near New Year's. And I actually started to get it pretty well. Like I was able to pause, gain speed, and I started thinking, wait, if I can actually do this, I can save so much time in the run.
Yeah.
So I started grinding it for I think it was almost 10 hours in that day.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, it was kind of crazy. And then the 1st of January, I got it the first time. No save states, no nothing. It's just on console, and yeah, that's when I realized that yeah, this is gonna be crazy. So I kept practicing it, and I added it to the run and I beat his time. I think I beat his time by like 20 seconds. So the first one wasn't very good, but like with the
Yeah.
new tricks.
But then
But
you'd optimize it a couple of times, and then I think by the end
yeah,
of the
yeah.
year, you improved it several minutes.
Yeah, so I ended up improving it by 7 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which I wasn't completely happy with that time. I gotta be honest. I felt like I could still improve by maybe 2-3 minutes. But at that time I was pretty happy with it, with what it was, at least.
Okay. So I guess that kind of ends the main, like, before we get to barrier skip stuff. So one of the more interesting parts of this history is, like, I think it was back in 2000, was it 14 or 12? It's one of those where Narcissa made a video called, I think, Barrier Skip 101.
Oh
Which
yeah, yeah.
I love that video, and I
Uh,
went back and watched it again recently.
yeah, I haven't watched it in a while. But yeah, that was
Yeah,
around 2014.
yeah. And I think it was kind of looming in people's minds about, like, what you could do, but nobody had like a solution, and it seemed like it was impossible, right? So tell me,
Mhm.
what were your thoughts on barrier skip
So,
back then?
hmm, I felt like there might actually be a way, but it's gonna be hard to find anything because people have been looking for methods to skip the barrier for so long. We had methods that look kind of promising, like we had one where you could like zombie hover under the barrier. It was kind of weird. I think you died, then you pulled a Wind Waker to like fall off the ledge to Wind
Yeah.
Waker dive, so you don't void out and zombie hover under the barrier. But it couldn't really make it to the loading zone and so on. So I don't know, like it felt like it might be there somewhere, some kind of method like that, but pretty much like maybe someday.
I get you. And then I think at some point, actor unloading is like the first real method for barrier skip. Were you around for that?
Yeah, I was kind of around. I can't remember if I played the game right then, but I was around in the community at least.
What was the kind of the community response, or what was the feeling like for the people?
Well, okay, so when it had been found and Son was being tested, I would say that I was probably one of the people who tried it the most in a way, because I actually spent like a month on it, almost 10 hours per day some days,
Oh
because
my
I really
gosh.
wanted to get it. I really wanted to get it to work because okay, so basically, actor loading is very complicated in how it works, and there are so many variations depending on different things. Like if you get a footstep on the sand, it's gonna take more memory, for example, and that's gonna affect how other memory is affected later on when you enter like a quadrant, because it
Right.
will load different actors. Like it's really complicated if you try to go into it. And
Yeah.
so Dragonbane found a way to do bear skip, and of course it was amazing. We were happy about it. Uh, some people didn't find it to be too cool, I guess, because it's actor unloading was really annoying in itself. I was kind of one of those. I didn't like it too much because it seemed kind of annoying and really stupid in how it works. But like I said, like I said, I try to put a lot of time into it to make it better, at least.
Mhm.
And I did find a method to lower the memory with Deku Tree. Well, in the Deku Tree area. Because first you needed a bow to start lowering the memory. So you had to go all the way to Tower Gods, get the bow, and then leave, which was very slow. And now you just had to go to Deku Tree pretty early on. It's kind of hard to explain this because it's like all over the place, but
yeah, no, trust me, we don't have to get into the finer details because I don't know how deep to it in the video, because I mainly want to talk about just like the fact that it's like you have to, using careful memory manipulation, you have to like overload the heap or something so that whenever you go in, it doesn't have enough space in the RAM. It's like,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, if you don't have a computer science degree, like it's all going to go from head. So we don't need to get too far into the detail. So.
Yeah, I would say the general thought was that it's super cool. People are happy that we have barrier skip, but it's gonna be very annoying to actually do this glitch and understand it well.
Yeah,
that was the general thought about it.
Yeah, in one of our videos that we've done, I mentioned that sometimes it's like opening Pandora's box. It's like you get what you wanted, but you also get like a lot of awful things.
Oh yeah, like, you gotta deal with that.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty appropriate.
Yeah.
Eventually, I think it was it like early last year, they got the bomb push method, right?
Oh yeah, it was. Oh, was it last year? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
Actually, no, wasn't it 2019?
Maybe it was the end of 2019 or something.
Yeah, it might have. Anyway, yeah.
The exact time's not important. It's not for the purpose of this interview.
No, of
course. So did you do runs with the bomb push method?
So I think right as it was found, I wasn't running any percent. I think I got a time that I was kind of satisfied with actor loading.
Okay.
I think memory is lacking a little here, but so after a little break, I came back when this was found, and yeah, 2 runs with the bomb push clip. It felt way nicer because we didn't have to rely on the RNG. Well, RNG with the berry skip, well, actor unloading, berry skip. And yeah, I kept running that for like 2 months or so.
Okay. I'm trying to put my thoughts into words.
No worries.
Yeah. I hear from a couple other runners that the game has gotten to a point where it's like it's really hard and it's not super accessible anymore. So what do you think about the future of Wind Waker Run? Where do we go from here? Like, have we kind of reached like the end game? Like this is kind of where we're going to be from now on?
It's really hard to say. Like, I feel like there is still improvement to be had. But considering like just how Wind Waker HD got a new trick 2 days ago, 3 days ago, which saves a ton of time by pretty much skipping all the cutscenes. I feel like there's probably something hiding there in the dark that we have still yet to find. Yeah. Like I really feel like there's probably gonna be something. Maybe it's not gonna be major, but I feel like it's not really the end game. I feel like there's always something.
That's true. That's true. You never know. Yeah, there's always going to be one more thing found. So.
Oh yeah.
I guess it's just
like
my thought. It's my head, it's like we're kind of like at a point where it's like, okay, I don't think the route's going to change that drastic. But
No, I think there could probably be something. I can't think of the route perfectly in my head right now. But something we could skip. Like, there's technically, like, we can talk about actor unloading again. With actor unloading, you could technically skip more cutscenes. Like, you could skip the Forsaken Fortress 1 cutscene. Let me see. You would skip the Helmar cutscene then again. There's this idea of skipping the Ganondorf cutscene with actor unloading as well. And of course, that would save a lot of time. But it's just actor unloading is so precise with this that if you want to try to make a setup for this, it has to be very precise. And like I said earlier, actor unloading is just one of those tricks that you can't really, well, as far as we know, we can't really make it that precise, unfortunately. Like a TAS would be able to do it, of course, but
yeah,
not humanly.
I get you.
So
Okay.
that would be something. Yeah.
I hear you. Okay. I think that's most of the questions that I have for you. I guess in closing, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you're like, bro, this video is not complete if we don't talk about that? It can be any era. If you like, oh yeah, don't even forget about Gianno. Like, I can't believe he did come.
Oh yeah, Gianna with the 6 was it 16, I think. Anyway. No, I mean Gianno started out with the Wind Waker. I think Gianno was the one that made Narcissa play a Wind Waker, actually. I think they had some races. Yeah, I think they had some races with another member called Kafte.
Okay.
But I can't remember that stuff too well. I wasn't too involved.
So. I meant that as a joke, but
oh yeah, no, that's an actual. I think that's a little bit more.
Okay. Was there anything else that we haven't talked about?
No, I don't think so.
Don't think so?
Well,
okay.
Yeah. Can't think of anything.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, Demon. Thank you so much for talking to me. You seemed a little hesitant, so I'm glad that we could get this to work.
Oh yes, of course.